Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone. This is a live community event where we will be having a reading of a Buddhist teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering. And after that, we will be having a bit of guided meditation practice together. I am your host or facilitator, Bhante Warapanyo. I am a Buddhist monk ordained in the Thai forest tradition of Thailand. I've been a monk since 2018, and a part of my Buddhist practice, my life as a monk, is to host these online teachings and meditations, community events such as this. So that's what we will be having today. And in the spirit of this as a live event, we will kind of be taking some time as we get started to give people an opportunity to join us, to come in. And during that time, you're welcome to say hello in the chat or leave a comment. And in a few minutes, we'll get started with the reading, followed by the group meditation together. So I'm using a new platform today for the streaming. So hopefully everything will work well. And like I said, we'll just take a few minutes, a few moments to let people join us here live before we get started. Bonjour, Fair Saint Pierre, and hi there, Roma. Yeah, a lot of people came across the Monk Life community through Wabi's channel. Welcome in, everyone. We'll be getting started momentarily. Hello there, dinosaur. Welcome. So today we'll be getting started with the reading, continuing where we left off last time in No Mud, No Lotus. Good morning, insomnia. Valerie, welcome. Great to see you joining. We'll just be hanging out for a few more minutes as we give everyone an opportunity to join us. We can take that time to settle in, to calm down, beginning to focus on our breathing. Patricia, good morning. Tom, hi there. I hope everyone's doing all right this morning. And we are live streaming in a few different places, but YouTube, of course, is the main place. Hi there, Aiden. Nightingale, good morning. So 3 more minutes. We'll give it another 3 minutes and then we'll get started. Hey there, Evelyn. Welcome. Yeah, online, there are so many interesting names, and actually, Air to Roma, it's uh, it's interesting that you brought that up because I'm hoping to, within the Discord, what I'd like to do is implement a new kind of policy where we use our first names, or a name that is something we would use, at our workplace or at our grocery store, so that we have a little bit more intimacy and not too many strange names like ultimate destroyer of the universe when we're discussing loving kindness and compassion. I think it can be a little bit off-putting. So maybe soon I'll make an announcement about that in the Discord. All right, so let's go ahead and tentatively get started here with everyone who's here. Welcome. For some people, if it's your first time joining us, I am Bante Warapanyo. I am a Buddhist monk, and this is the Monk Life Community channel and community event where we come together in a spirit of spiritual cultivation, working on ourselves, taking a look at spiritual teachings. Um, and we look at that, we work with that as a community live, and then practice some meditation together. So if you are interested in meditation or Buddhism or spirituality in general, then this is a very good place to be. But if you're not, then you probably won't be here long. So we're continuing with a reading from Thich Nhat in his book, No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering. And we're going over practices for nurturing happiness. So the practice that we're on now, kind of in the middle of, is this practice of loving kindness, this cultivation, this bringing up this energy of love towards ourselves and towards other people as a way of nurturing happiness and dealing with suffering in our lives. So we'll begin here with the reading. And, if you're new to spiritual teachings or to Buddhism or meditation, most important is a willingness to be with your breath, to be with your body, and just listen, to open up and be willing to receive. And here in this kind of activity, this kind of practice, It's very different from our usual activities online of consuming entertainment. We are consuming food, or we're consuming audio video, we're consuming comedy, etc. But in here, this is an opportunity to practice. This is an opportunity to do some work, kind of an online gym, if you will. And the section of the book that we're on is the practices for nurturing happiness. And this is the fifth practice, metta. We're kind of in the middle of this chapter here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. According to the Buddha, a human being is made of 5 elements. They are form, the body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. In a way, you are the surveyor, and these elements are your territory. So you, not as this self-identification with the body or with the feelings, the perceptions, the mental formations, not as this thought is me, this is who I am, but rather that we are the awareness that is perceiving, aware of these thoughts, our territory. To know the real situation within yourself, you have to know your own territory, including the elements within you that are at war with each other. So this practice of working with ourselves through and developing ourselves, firstly through understanding ourselves, being aware of what's going on, to know about what's going on in our body and mind. In order to bring about harmony, reconciliation, and healing within, you have to understand yourself. Looking and listening deeply, surveying your territory is the beginning of love meditation. And this isn't a traditional romantic love, kind of lust or infatuation love. This is kind of a loving friendliness, a compassion, a gentleness, a patience, a heartfelt consideration towards your situation at this moment. Begin this practice of cultivating loving kindness or cultivating love. Begin this practice by looking deeply into your body. Ask, how is my body in this moment? How was it in the past? How will it be in the future? And our ability or our willingness to ask these questions in a very sincere way is at the heart of our meditation. So oftentimes we're very willing to spend, multiple hours watching a movie that's total fantasy, in many ways totally irrelevant to the life that we're living. But we're willing to spend many hours investing in that and getting involved with that. But are we willing to even bring up a little bit of investment into this question experientially? How is my body at this moment? And it's a bit shocking when we consider that, we're willing to spend 2-3 hours watching this movie that's entirely fabricated, has basically nothing to do with our lives, and yet to even spend a moment to ask this question, to inquire very sincerely, how is my body at this moment? Our literal bodies. And yet, the normal way of things is, oh, sure, I'll watch a movie or I'll watch YouTube for hours. But to turn towards the body, the physical experience of the body at this moment, and to be with that, it's almost alien. So I think that's a very curious kind of situation. So begin this practice of cultivating loving kindness by looking deeply into your body, or any meditation practice. Ask, how is my body in this moment? How was it in the past? How will it be in the future? Later, When you meditate on someone you like, someone neutral to you, someone you love, and someone you hate, you also begin by looking at his physical aspects. So when we are doing this practice of cultivating loving kindness, firstly we start with ourselves, and then we work to extend that to other people. So maybe to someone we love, someone we're neutral to. And if we have someone we care about and we want to bring up this energy of loving kindness for them, or even someone that we have a tough time with, breathing in and out, visualize their face, their way of walking, sitting, and talking, their heart, lungs, kidneys, and all the organs in their body, taking as much time as you need to bring these details into your awareness. So when we think about other people, it's very easy to get, oh, this person is just my very simple idea of them. That's who they are. But it's much more relevant that their organs in their body, the face, the physical constituency of their body, what constitutes their body. So when we consider the other person, especially if we want to kind of develop these positive intentions and feelings towards this person, really being aware of them as a body. But always start with yourself. When you see your own five elements clearly, when you see your own feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, and your body clearly with your awareness, understanding and love arise naturally. And you know what to do and what not to do to take care of yourself. So when we look clearly, when we look intimately at our body and our mind at this moment, it's natural and it's clear how we take care of ourselves. We know what to do and what not to do just by really being aware of our body and our mind at this moment. Look into your body to see whether it is at peace or is suffering from illness. Look at the conditions of your body, your heart, your stomach, your back, your head, to see what the real needs of your body are. When you do, you will eat, drink, and act in ways that demonstrate your love and your compassion for your body. Usually you follow ingrained habits, but when you look deeply, you see that many of these habits harm your body and mind. So you work to transform your habits in ways conducive to good health and vitality. Observe your feelings, whether they are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Feelings flow in us like a river, and each feeling is a drop of water in that river. Look into the river of your feelings and see how each feeling came to be. See what has been preventing you from being happy and do your best to transform those things. So it's this practice of looking intimately, looking contemplatively at the situation that we're in right now, not just looking to consume something. And it doesn't need to be constant. We don't need to become a poetic monk, spiritual, crystal healer. But once a day, once a week, it's certainly extremely worthwhile to turn towards our direct experience, to turn towards that river of feelings, thoughts, emotions, etc., that we're going through, and to really look and embrace and be aware of them, contemplatively to look at them. What's going on here? Practice touching the wondrous, refreshing, and healing elements that are already in you and in the world. Doing so, you become stronger and better able to love yourself and others. Then meditate on your perceptions. The Buddha observed the person who suffers most in this world is the person who has many wrong perceptions, and most of our perceptions are erroneous. You see a snake in the dark and panic, but when your friend shines a light on it, you see that it is only a rope. You have to know which wrong perceptions cause you to suffer. You can write on a piece of paper, "Are you sure?" So when we have these ideas about other people, when we have these perceptions about ourselves and the world, are you sure? Is that really what's going on here? Is that really who you are? Is that really who I am? What's going on here? Observe your mental formations, the ideas and tendencies within you that lead you to speak and act as you do. Practice looking deeply to discover the true nature of your mental formations, how you are influenced by your individual consciousness and also by the collective consciousness of your family, ancestors, and society. And remembering that these are practices for nurturing happiness. Practice looking deeply to discover the true nature of your mental formations, how you are influenced by your individual consciousness and also by the collective consciousness of your family, ancestors, and society. Unwholesome mental formations cause so much disturbance. Wholesome mental formations bring about love, happiness, and liberation. Finally, look at your consciousness itself. According to Buddhism, consciousness is like a field with every possible kind of seed in it. Seeds of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Seeds of anger, fear, and anxiety. And seeds of mindfulness. Consciousness is the storehouse that contains all these seeds, all the possibilities of whatever might arise in your mind. When your mind is not at peace, it may be because of the desires and feelings in your store consciousness. To live in peace, you have to be aware of your tendencies, your habit energies, so you can exercise some self-control. This is the practice of preventative health care. Look deeply into the nature of your feelings to find their roots, to see which feelings need to be transformed, and nourish those feelings that bring about peace, joy, and well-being. You can continue with the following aspirations, first for yourselves and then for others. And we can practice this exercise together. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. Taking a deep breath and guiding the mind with this aspiration. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of happiness and joy within myself. May I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. One time, when we practiced love meditation in Plum Village, a young laywoman said to me, "When I meditated on my boyfriend, I found that I began to love him less. And when I meditated on the person I disliked the most, I suddenly hated myself. Before meditation, her love for her boyfriend was so passionate that she was not able to see his shortcomings. During her practice, she began to see him more clearly, and she realized that he is less perfect than she imagined. She began to love him in a way that had more understanding in it, and therefore it was deeper and healthier. She also had fresh insights into the person she disliked the most. She saw some of the reasons he was like that, and she saw how she had caused him to suffer by reacting to him so harshly. Again, we begin with ourselves to understand our own true nature. As long as we reject ourselves and continue to harm our own body and mind, there's no point in talking about loving and accepting others. With mindfulness, we will be able to recognize our habitual ways of thinking and the contents of our thoughts. We shine the light of mindfulness on the neural pathways in our mind so we can see them clearly. And just through that seeing clearly, a lot of things are resolved. And not only that, but difficult situations, unworkable situations become very workable. You can imagine it like you have a very dirty room. You've been staying in your room for months and months with the pandemic, and it's dark and it's filthy. It's absolutely filthy. To clean that room in the dark, basically impossible, extremely, extremely difficult. But once you have the light, once you can see clearly what the situation is, sure, it's still a very messy room, but now it's extremely workable. So with that awareness, with that mindfulness, with that turning towards our present moment situation, our mind and our body at this moment, we're much more able to work with the situation. And a lot of things are resolved just by being aware of them. Whenever we see or hear something, our attention can be appropriate or inappropriate. With mindfulness, we can recognize which it is and release inappropriate attention and nurture appropriate attention. Appropriate mental attention, yaniso manaskara in Sanskrit, brings us happiness, peace, clarity, and love. Inappropriate attention, ayoniso manaskara, fills our mind with sorrow, anger, and prejudice. Mindfulness helps us practice appropriate attention and water the seeds of peace, joy, and liberation in us. Next, we use mindfulness to illuminate our speech, so we can use loving speech and stop before we say anything that creates conflict for ourselves and others. Then we look into our physical actions. Mindfulness illuminates how we stand, sit, walk, smile, and frown, and how we look at others. We recognize which actions are beneficial and which bring harm. Understanding of oneself and others is the key that opens the door of love and acceptance of oneself and others. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. The soil of our mind contains many seeds, positive and negative. We are the gardeners who identify, water, and cultivate the best seeds. And in this way of we are the gardeners, many gardeners aren't going into the garden. And so that's this practice of meditation, Buddhism, this kind of teaching, these kinds of ideas. It's an invitation, it's instructions for stepping into the garden. We have to do it ourselves. There's no getting around it. We have to do our own gardening. Of course, if someone is nearby to us, if we're gardening together, yeah, it's a lot easier to do our gardening, but we have to do it ourselves. And many people are not stepping into the garden. We're all responsible for the soil of our life, our mind, and our body. But unless we are willing to take that step to put forth that effort, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, moment to moment, to put forth that effort to step into the garden of our mind through mindfulness, through taking a deep breath and bringing our awareness and our attention into the body, being with our life as it is right now. If we're not willing or not able to do that, we can certainly find that there are many disruptions, many weeds, many bad seeds that we continue to deal with because we're not getting involved. So this moment, this kind of teaching, this exercise of meditation, this is that stepping into the garden. The soil of our mind contains many seeds, positive and negative. We are the gardeners who identify, water, and cultivate the best seeds. Touching the seeds of joy, peace, freedom, solidity, and love in ourselves and in each other is an important practice that helps us grow in the direction of health and happiness. May I learn to identify and see the sources of anger, craving, and delusion in myself. We look deeply to see how these came about. What are their roots, and how long have they been there? We practice mindfulness, awareness of the present moment in our daily lives to be aware that such poisons as craving, anger, delusion, arrogance, and suspicion are present in us. We can look and see how much suffering they have caused ourselves and others. We need to master our own anger before we can help others to do the same. Arguing with others only waters the seeds of anger in us. When anger arises, return to yourself and use the energy of mindfulness to embrace, soothe, and illuminate it. Don't think you'll feel better if you lash out and make the other person suffer. The other person might respond even more harshly, and anger will escalate. The Buddha taught that when anger arises, close your eyes and ears, return to yourself, and tend to the source of anger within. Transforming your anger is not just for your personal liberation. Everyone around you, and even those more distant, will benefit. And this really applies to any negative emotion, any non-practical, self-destructive or socially destructive emotion. Rather than trying to get away from it or trying to act on it, embracing, soothing, illuminating through the power of our mindfulness, our presentness with our current situation that we find ourselves in. Look deeply at your anger as you would look at your own child. Don't reject it or hate it. The point of meditation is not to turn yourself into a battlefield, one side opposing the other. Conscious breathing soothes and calms the anger, and mindfulness penetrates it. Anger is just an energy. and all energies can be transformed. Meditation is the art of using one kind of energy to transform another. So now we'll go through a few positive affirmations that we can use to engender our mind, to change the culture of our mind. And you can repeat after me as we say this, as our exercise, as our meditation. May I know how to nourish the seeds of joy in myself every day. And as we repeat these briefly, perhaps it's nice to close your eyes, to take some deep breaths, some conscious breathing. Really tune into the body and repeating after me, putting your heart and your sincerity into these words. So we may find oftentimes in our lives we tolerate a kind of negative self-dialogue, not helpful self-dialogue. Here is the opportunity to engage with a compassionate, loving, and powerfully sincere self-dialogue. So repeating after me, may I know how to nourish the seeds of joy in myself every day. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May I be free from attachment and aversion, but not be indifferent. May I know how to nourish the seeds of joy in myself every day. These aspirations help us to water the seeds of joy and happiness that lie deep in our store consciousness. The notions we entertain about what will bring us happiness are just a trap. We forget that they are only ideas. Our ideas of happiness can fundamentally prevent us from being happy. When we believe that happiness should take a particular form, or that we need something in particular to be happy, we fail to see the opportunities for joy that are right in front of us. Happiness is not an individual matter. It has the nature of interbeing. When you are able to make one friend smile, her happiness will nourish you also. When you find ways to foster peace, joy, and happiness, you do it for everyone. Begin by nourishing yourself with joyful feelings. Practice walking meditation outside, enjoying the fresh air, the trees, and the stars in the night sky. What do you do to nourish yourself? So Thich Nhat Hanh here asks us a question. What do you do to nourish yourself? Maybe some people like to share in the live chat. What do you do to nourish yourself? Anyone like to share about that? What do you do to nourish yourself? So our companion on the path, Pancake Flipper, takes walks and draws to nourish themselves, to nourish the joy in themselves. Nightingale does a walking meditation in labyrinths. How nice for everyone to share in this way. Joni AV eats nice, healthy food as often as they can. Oh, okay. Here we have a little bit something close to my heart. Zia Mechia takes dark baths. That's something I like to do to nurture myself as well. Take a bath in the dark, very hot bath in the dark. Wonderful. Aidan Craig goes for long walks and listens to music. And Rwanda Bear, or Rwanda watches Netflix and Twitch. Air to Roma grows plants. Wow, that's wonderful. And grows tomatoes. Yeah, growing plants, definitely a treat. And Atlas, breathe. So this practice of breathing to nourish ourselves, to nourish our joy and our peace, very conscious, intentional breathing. And Atlas, looking at the sky or flowers to nourish ourselves. So having activities, having practices where we intentionally are nourishing ourselves, very important, very helpful. It's important to discuss this subject with dear friends to find concrete ways to nourish joy and happiness. When you succeed in doing this, your suffering, sorrow, and painful mental formations will begin to transform. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. Fresh is a translation for the Vietnamese word for cool, without fever. Jealousy, anger, and craving are a kind of fever. Solid refers to stability. If you aren't solid, you won't be able to accomplish much. Each day, you only need to take a few solid steps in the direction of your goal. Each morning, you rededicate yourself to your path in order to not go astray. Before going to sleep at night, take a few minutes to review the day. Did I live in the direction of my ideals today? If you see that you took 2 or 3 steps in that direction, that is good enough. If you didn't, say to yourself, I'll do better tomorrow. Don't compare yourself with others. Just look to yourself to see whether you are going in the direction you cherish. Take refuge in things that are solid. If you lean on something that isn't solid, you will fall down. A few sanghas may not yet be solid, but usually taking refuge in a sangha or a spiritual community, a community of practitioners, is a wise thing to do. There are sangha members everywhere who are practicing earnestly. Freedom means transcending the trap of harmful desires and being without attachments, whether to an institution, a diploma, or a certain rank. From time to time, we encounter people who are free and can do whatever is needed. Indifference. When we are indifferent, nothing is enjoyable, interesting, or worth striving for. We don't experience love or understanding, and our life has no joy or meaning. We don't even notice the beauties of nature or the laughter of children. We are unable to touch the suffering or the happiness of others. If you find yourself in a state of indifference, ask your friends for help. Even with all its suffering, life is filled with many wonders. Free from attachment and aversion, the kind of love the Buddha wanted us to cultivate is not possessive or attached. All of us, young and old, have a tendency to become attached. As soon as we are born, attachment to self is already there. In wholesome love relationships, there is a certain amount of possessiveness and attachment. But if it's excessive, both lover and beloved will suffer. If a father thinks he owns his son, or if a young man tries to put restrictions on his girlfriend, then love becomes a prison. This is also true in relationships between friends, teachers, students, and so on. Attachment obstructs the flow of life, and without mindfulness, attachment always becomes aversion. Both attachment and aversion lead to suffering. Look deeply to discover the nature of your love and identify the degree of attachment, despotism, and possessiveness in your love. Then you can begin untangling the knots. The seeds of true love, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity are already there in our store consciousness. Through the practice of deep looking, the seeds of suffering and attachment will shrink, and the positive seeds will grow. We can transform attachment and aversion and arrive at a love that is spacious and all-encompassing. So now we can get into a suitable position for meditation. So we're finished with our more content-focused reading, more teaching-focused from our dear friend Thich Nhat, guiding us from his book, No Mud, No Lotus. So finding a comfortable position for our bodies to sit in or to lay in, whatever it may be. And then beginning to bring our mind to set our mind on the process, the practice of breathing. Feeling the breath as it comes in through the nose, goes down through the throat into the lungs. The breath coming in and going out. Also feeling the expansion of the lungs. Following the breath as it comes in and goes out. We may feel judgment. We may feel that we are looking for a certain kind of experience to be happy. But in this practice, just being with the breath and being aware of what is happening. Good, bad, neutral, whatever it is, just breathing. With each and every breath, Turning towards the body, turning towards the unfolding of our experience, the nowness, the happeningness of our life at this moment. Any pain that we may feel in our body or a particular thought, doing our best to relate to it in this way of looking more and more deeply to the direct experience of it, not falling back on our judgment of it as good or bad, or what we want or don't want. Whatever that experience is or that sensation that's grabbing our attention, being willing to be with that, not to shy away from it. We'll finish our session today with a bit of Buddhist chanting that I will offer. Maha Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. When the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was coursing in the deeper Prajna Paramita, she realized that all the five skandhas are empty, thereby transcending all sufferings. O Shariputra, form is not other than emptiness, and emptiness not other than form. Form is precisely emptiness, and emptiness precisely form. So also are sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness. Shariputra, this form of the emptiness of all dharmas is non-arising, non-perishing, non-impure, non-pure, non-increasing, and non-decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, and no sensation, perception, volition, or consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind, no sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, or thought. There is no realm of the eye, all the way up to no realm of consciousness. There is no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, through to no aging and death, and no ending of aging and death. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, and also no attainment. With nothing to attain, bodhisattvas relying on prajna paramita have no obstructions in their minds. Having no obstructions, there is no fear, and departing far from confusion and delusion, they reach ultimate nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, relying on prajna paramita, attain supreme Buddhahood. Therefore, the prajna paramita is the great mantra of power, the great mantra of wisdom, the supreme mantra and the unequaled mantra, which is able to transcend all sufferings. It is real and not false. Therefore he uttered the mantra of prajna paramita by saying, Gate, gate, para samgate bodhisattva. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So everyone, that is the closing of our California morning time group session, live group session. Uh, Grateful to everyone who joined, and I hope this brought some benefit, wisdom, insight into your life as we begin our week, at least here in California. Maybe some people it's already tomorrow or it's already yesterday, but here in California it is 9 a.m. Monday. So thank you everyone for joining, and hope to see you again soon. Okay, lovely messages from everyone. Okay, so I'll see you all later, and you can reach out to me through the Discord or be involved in the community through the Discord.